So, who's your favorite Joker?
Like, what do you mean by that? Like, um, the thing we just watched. Oh, what do you mean? He's my favorite? Like the live action?
Like, or in everything, doesn't matter.
I haven't seen all of them yet.
What haven't you seen?
I haven't rewatched those the '80s movie. Like, I haven't rewatched that. Um, I haven't really like watched all of the episodes that Joker has appeared in on like the Batman animated.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't. I don't really know right now. I've seen most of the live action ones,
Mm-hmm.
like Joaquin Phoenix and obviously Heath Ledger. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna say I don't know. Just out of the two that I've seen, it's debatable for me.
Yep.
Yeah,
So, out of the two that you've seen, who do you like? Who do you? Okay, you've seen Jared Leto, right?
yeah, yeah,
You've seen Joaquin Phoenix.
yeah,
You've seen Heath Ledger, right?
yeah.
So, out of the three, who do you like the most?
Oh, I don't know. Like,
Should be quite easy for you to say that it's not Jared Leto, right?
yeah,
Oh, of course. So,
I was
so
gonna say what?
okay, so he's not even in the equation. Okay, so I mean I understand that because I mean I didn't get it either. You know what I mean? I was he wasn't my thing, but I thought Harlequin was great. You know, in that
Yeah,
series.
they're up
Yeah,
there.
that but there is another contender you are familiar with, and we just watched it today, the Batman
The
animated series.
animated, but yeah, we just talking about it.
What did you think of that Joker?
I thought he was okay. Like I liked it. You know, it was.
Okay,
Uh,
so see, you know, a lot of he's sort of the cornerstone to a lot of the Jokers that the modern day
yeah,
Jokers are based on. He is in he is in many ways very close to what I think. So we watched today the top some of the top episodes where the Joker was in because you never seen Batman animated before, right?
no, I haven't. No.
So we saw several episodes
Yeah,
of Batman animated today and I really want you to one day take your time to watch the whole series. I can tell you,
you haven't got it in order, so I can't
yeah,
really.
there are a lot of episodes. There are a lot of episodes, and I remember the first time I ever saw it, which wasn't. Yeah, I mean, this was something that ran in the '90s, so I was late in the game. I only saw it sometime in the late 2000s or something like
Yeah,
that. It blew me away because I just thought that it had, to me, it feels like the closest in essence to what the Batman universe should be.
yeah,
And it just had this darkness, and even it had the darkness, but at the same time, it also had the tongue-in-cheek humor and the
yeah,
irony and everything in a way that was so brilliant that and I just saw from the first moment, that part where in the opening theme music you see this the gangsters come in and the Batman drops he just drops so
yeah.
smoothly on the ground and he's fighting. I just knew that this is, I'm on to something very special. Even the way they drew the gangsters, the imagery
Yeah, it
was
looks
very,
good.
it is so close to the type of the old Al Capone slash gangster movies or Chicago
Mm.
type. I remember when I was a kid, I used to be addicted to this comic book series called Tintin comics. Oh,
Yeah,
and you know them, right? Yeah,
yeah,
because and the way they drew those gangsters in that, this type of, and these animations are so true to that form, and I was absolutely blown away by just how well that they did that. The darkness, the shadows, the
yeah,
craziness of the characters and everything. It was
yeah.
just so brilliant. So anyway, so you saw that Joker today, and it did leave an impression on you, right? You did like how they portrayed that Joker in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
animated series. And how good was Harley Quinn?
yeah, yeah,
You know, I've always thought that a Harley Quinn in Batman animated was the show that really uh, created this whole cult of person of a Harley Quinn in a way that Halcyon was so popular in this series that they actually wanted to do a spin-off. Sort of a They wanted to do, I think, a TV show of her beginning, like this really crazy dysfunctional American family. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is the film Natural Born Killers from, I think it was an Oliver Stone film. And
Yeah.
in that film you see the like they were, I think they were sort of, it's sort of a spin-off of Bonnie and Clyde, which is like these two characters, I think it's Mickey and Valerie Knox, or I can't remember the name, but there's a little segment in it where they show her dysfunctional family, her father being very abusive, and the mother is like she's got her own demons, and the brother she has a little brother, who's like quite something else. So when I first saw the Harlequin, when I first heard about the like I was watching some behind the scenes footage of Batman the animated, and they were saying that they were thinking about doing that sort of a spin-off of Harlequin.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing that came to my mind, that whole little segment from Natural Born Killers. So yeah, so I don't know what became of it, but you said that they did something, right? They
I saw like a part of one of the new animated series where they showed a little bit of her family.
Okay.
I thought that that was sort of similar to what you were saying. Uh,
Which one was that?
I don't know. I just saw clips of it.
You saw clips of it. So this is already, it was produced, or
I don't think so. I just think that it was a part of another um animated series of superheroes, DC or whatever.
okay. We will look into that later. All right. So Joker. So let's talk with okay, so Jared Leto out. Okay, so so yeah, yeah, Jared Leto though. I mean, I gotta give it to him. I don't really know much about the dude. I know that he's really big with a certain group of people, but
Mm.
especially girls. But he was in a couple of movies that see he had his see I love David Fincher, the director. He did
Yeah.
what was that movie that you wanted me to watch that he did with that?
Seven.
You haven't seen Seven though.
Oh, Zodiac.
Zodiac, right? So Zodiac. So that movie director, his name is David Fincher, and he's a relatively young guy in the game. He was anyway. So he did a couple of films called Fight Club and Panic Room that had Jared Leto in it. The very early stages of Jared Leto. Where so Jared Leto was kind of a big movie star by the time Panic Room came in, which had Jodie Foster, the one, remember the
Yeah.
Silence of the Lamb. Silence of the
Yeah.
Lamb. Yeah. So she was in that film.
Yeah.
Okay. So but prior to that, there was another film called Fight Club, which I absolutely love, and Jared Leto was in that too. He was sort of a supporting character, but he had a big presence in that film. So Jared Leto, and that's all we gotta say about Jared Leto. So let's move into the big heavyweights, which is of course Heath Ledger and
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. And there is another Joker that I do want you to. There are a couple of other important Jokers in this universe, which you should check out. And one is Jack Nicholson, of course,
Yeah.
from the
From the
Tim,
80s
Tim
movie.
Burton days. And then there is another guy. I think his name is Joker Cesar Romero. Okay, Cesar Romero. He was in the most one of the most iconic Batman shows, the one from the 60s. Ta na 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 na
Yeah,
na na
yeah,
Batman. Okay, so iconic. So he was another Joker that you really need to learn about at some point down the road.
yeah.
Okay, but you got right now Heath Ledger, rest
Yeah.
in peace, and Joaquin Phoenix. Let's talk about these two now. So who do you who came who really in your heart do you love the most out of those two?
I don't know. Like, I love how Ledger sort of in the Dark Knight movie. I love how he sort of played the Joker. He also said that it was very fun playing the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix, I really liked him because you can sort of relate to him in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like like you've never shot three people in a train before, have you?
Yeah,
Um, and I thought that that was very cool. I just think that they both have their assets. Like, Heath Ledger sort of had fun with the character, and that's what made it great. Like, with the whole, I'm gonna say not because of the actor, but I'm gonna say Heath Ledger because of the movie he was in. Right,
yeah,
Dark Knight. I mean, it had the scenes where he's trying to find Harvey Dent in like his party, and the whole like Rachel thing. Um, trying to think of something else. The interrogation scene. That's a very famous scene.
yeah.
Um, I'm just gonna say Ledger because of the movie he was in, and he also did a fantastic job at being Joker. Yeah.
He's also an Aussie. He was. He
Yeah,
was
I know,
really
I know.
great. Do you know? Back in 2003, I gotta mention this because when United States was about to invade Iraq in the 2003 Iraq invasion, Heath Ledger was one of the very few celebrities that uh, joined the people in the streets. Heath Ledger was one of the few Australian celebrities, there you go, who joined the people on the streets to protest against the 2003 Iraq war. And now it's been proven time and time again now that this war was a huge mistake. Not only did it cost America a lot of money, it cost a
Mm,
lot of life. It created a new group of terrorism called ISIS. It was a pointless war. And
mm,
he had the foresight to actually go down on the street and protest. That's him with Naomi Watts, another Australian actress, protest. And he was ahead of his time. He was a villain. I saw many Australian newspapers villainizing him, and we should be ashamed of him. That type of thing they were saying.
yeah.
So there he was. This is in 2003. Young Heath Ledger. Okay, yeah, just wanted to we should absolutely hats off to this guy. And so when was Dark Knight done?
2008, right?
2008. So
Yeah.
he was dead. He was the
Dead when the movie
yeah,
came
yeah,
out.
so it was posthumous. So that this was a big thing because we knew that in many ways there was all these rumors flying around whether his Joker, the role he played in the Joker, had something to do with him being did it take him to a place where he thought that
I actually personally don't think
okay.
that Joker that he committed like that he wanted to die because he did the role for Joker. I mean, if he loved playing the Joker so much,
Yes,
like
yes,
he had a lot of fun with it.
there's enough evidence to show that he actually had a lot of fun doing the Joker. I think that
He locked himself in a room for a month.
yeah, yeah. See, I can understand all that. It's because these people are professional. They get paid millions of dollars to do this stuff. Of course, they're going to do that kind of stuff to get into the gear. Like when I do my podcast with Alan,
Yeah.
my friend, before I start the podcast for the hour or so, I actually prepare. Watch a certain types of videos that gets me all pumped up and all. I watch this UFC fight and all that stuff, so I get into that mood. That where I just feel like I can say whatever I want, type of attitude. So Heath Ledger to play the Joker, he would have he you said that he did it for a long time. He locked himself in a hotel room. But
Yeah, the reason why he did that was because he got the role really early.
yes, yes, but aren't you looking at this in a very linear type of way? See, what I mean by linear is that okay, you think that okay, he didn't kill himself. Okay, I don't believe Heath Ledger killed himself.
I
Okay,
don't either.
okay, I don't believe Heath Ledger killed himself, but I do believe that there is possibility, and it leaves a huge foot in the door. He didn't kill himself, but he went to a place where he became so adventurous. So what that means is that so when you lock yourself in a room and you get into this crazy mindset, you become, you think like, you can take any risk you want in life. You come to that state where, you know I'm not afraid to go there. I'm not afraid to do that thing. I'm not afraid to test my boundaries. You
Yeah.
go, you psychologically go to that state where, so we know that he died because of some sort of a drug overdose, right?
Overdose.
So he was taking all these painkillers and alcohol, probably mixing it up all. It's a messy cocktail of
Yeah.
stuff. And he would have, he had the confidence or the ability to, he trained himself to go to that place. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't just, you see, this is a little by little thing, like, for example, you train your body, you train your mind to be fearless to go to that place,
Yeah.
so in Heath Ledger's case, I do believe that his role as a Joker took him to that place where he thought to himself, you know what, I can keep doing this as much as I want, and,
Yeah.
not worry about the consequences. And even if I die, I don't care. I'm not afraid to die type of attitude. You can go to that place. You can be so dark. Even like, even for example, the Joker character,
Mhm.
he's not afraid to be caught and be tortured or be hurt or anything, because he feel like he's someone who has gone to a place. In a way, it's a sort of an enlightenment, I mean, it is enlightenment in a negative kind of way, because you are willing to lay it all on the line. You're not afraid. And that's just, I think that is a possibility, that his role, that when he locked himself in this room and got into the Joker's mindset, it actually took him to a place where he was no longer afraid to even die, you know and that can have consequences.
Yeah.
I In that way, I think maybe the rumors have some legitimacy. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the first now Heath Ledger also, I don't know if you noticed that in a lot of his roles he dies, like, or kills himself. I don't know if there's a movie called Monsters Ball where he plays the son of a very southern red state, like, where there's a lot of racism and, yeah, everything. But in United States you have the blue states and the red states, and that he was the son of a prison warden in that show. And the prison warden, who was played by Billy Bob Thornton, he
Mhm.
was who was where who was kind of a terrible man, like he was executing people like in prison. That was his job, to walk people to the execution line or whatever, like that.
Yeah.
And in that, Heath Ledger was his son, and he shoots himself in that film. Okay. So, and then he was also in a film called Patriot, where he played Mel Gibson's son. This was like that, I think, the second war, whatever, with England, the
Yeah.
independent. And in that also, he dies in that film. I don't know. I'm sure, pretty sure. I don't know what other films, but Heath Ledger dies a lot in or kills himself or whatever. So he was. It was already. I mean, I'm not saying that these roles directly led him to his death, but I'm just saying that they created the myth that,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
guy, because otherwise there's a guy called Sean Bean who dies in every movie. Like, there's in fact a joke, he dies in Lord of the Rings, he dies in Golden Heart. Dies in Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's almost a joke that if he doesn't die, like, it's like a miracle kind of, so there's a meme about him. So I'm sure Sean Bean would have killed himself by now, long time ago, if it had anything to do with his roles dying. So it is not so much, but let's say if tomorrow Sean Bean kills himself, then every all of us will be saying, oh, that's because he played these roles where he always died, so
Mhm.
maybe that had something to do. So in the same way, I believe that Heath Ledger's death also created these myths and rumors that, maybe his death had something to do with the type of the roles he played in the
Yeah.
films. Yeah. But yeah, so we watched that video with Heath Ledger, right, in YouTube, which was about I think it was about his role as the Joker and his evolution, and there was a lot of blowback as well. Like, when Heath Ledger was originally cast as the Joker, most people didn't want him, right? Because they thought that he wouldn't be suited for that role.
Yeah, yeah. It's sort of funny how how the best Joker, Heath Ledger,
Mhm.
people thought at the beginning that he would not be that great of a Joker,
Yeah, why do
and
you
then
think why do you think people thought he wouldn't be that great of a Joker?
I mean I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because of what you were saying earlier, maybe because of that, or I don't know. I don't know.
That in the sense like his activism,
Yeah, yeah.
see, I learned that there were
But the funny thing is,
yeah,
when when Jared Leto
yeah,
was said to be the Joker,
mm-hmm.
people were really excited that a real crazy person was going to be the Joker. That
And he
he was
sucked,
going,
right?
yeah, and he was going. People were hyping him up like he was going to be like the best Joker, and then he was really bad. They even had to remove the purple suit because he just didn't.
There is some cult about Jared Leto and everything else, but we can I don't think we want to touch up right now. But I do know that a lot of some of the reasons that Heath Ledger was not allowed to was not favored by men to be the Joker. Number one is because he was kind of cute. He was a
Yeah,
good-looking guy. He was a good-looking guy. He was sort of a pretty boy.
yeah,
Like that type of role. And also he was also in Brokeback Mountain, which was a homosexual movie. Where he was like this gay cowboy who hooks up with another gay cowboy and stuff like that. So they thought that that type of person with that type of a reputation
yeah,
would not be able to play a psychotic villain,
yeah,
because this had a lot to do with people's perception of what masculinity is. So they thought that Joker should be played by someone who was um, who didn't have those who didn't have a like reputation that preceded it. So yeah, so this was all, this had a lot to do with stereotyping and and it's a clear example of how these assumptions can be terribly wrong. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, and of course, I mean, we know that when Heath Ledger just not only just nailed that role,
yeah,
the first time that like the Heath Ledger walked into the set, especially some of the key moments in the set, like that, the whole time that crashing the party scene. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think that some of the key characters like Sir Michael Caine, who played Alfred, right?
yeah.
When he saw Heath Ledger for the first time, he was genuinely taken back. Like, what am I looking at here? Oh my lord! I mean, like, he was absolutely shocked, apparently, just by how well
Yeah.
this character was portrayed. And let's talk about the moment for a second, right? I mean, that whole Joker crash in the park.
Yeah, that was. I always love scenes like that. Like I don't know. It's just something about crashing a party just seems so wild and so cool in my opinion. Like it, like announce and especially when when he like announces it in front of everyone that he's looking for Harvey Dent. It took me a while to remember that name. That was just so cool because he had a gun, sort of, and everyone was spooked. And then he
Mm-hmm.
was so chill about it. Like he was walking into a party,
Yeah.
simply looking for someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was really cool. I love scenes like that.
Yeah, and
That's why I love the scene in Batman 3 too. The Dark Knight Rises. Like I love the scene where he's sort of in the
I think that
costume.
was okay. So I think people took some time. That scene did a lot for me. So I saw this at the cinemas, right?
Yeah.
So that scene, it was okay. So a lot of us were trying to recover from seeing who played Rachel, because I think it was a different girl who was
Yeah.
from Katie Holmes was the one that we were sort of hoping would be, but and it turned out to be someone else who, mind you, did a. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, with all due respect, I think she did a brilliant job. I think she was perfect. Okay, she was she and. It just took me a while, some time to recognize who she was because I've seen her in some really good movies before this as well. So while we were recovering from that, we also see the Joker enter. We know that there was a lot of hype about the Joker, yeah, and who is we, and we get to see it right from the start, the bank robbery and everything. But there was something very different about the party crashing scene because yeah, you know, the way he looks, and I think I put a gif on my Facebook. You can see that just that little moment where he walks into the party, he eats that little cocktail thing, and then he grabs somebody's champagne and drinks it and splatters it like that. I mean,
He didn't
it
drink in his spot. He splattered.
yeah, he splattered it and drank the little bit in the bottle. You can see that it is such it reflects so well how restless and how troubled he is mentally and how carefree it is. But at the same time, it is just so cool to see this raspy voice guy. You know, he has this very
Wasn't his voice based on?
his voice is based on, I think it's Tom Waits. Tom Waits. I believe he's an American singer, and they wanted to base his voice on this guy. And if you listen to that guy, you'll know exactly what I mean. That is a Joker. Oh my God, this guy. It sounds. I mean, when you listen to it, you just love it because you just know it sounds like the Joker now. You know, like when we sort of go back on it. But I'm like, oh my God, that is a Joker. That I mean, they that truly judge. I mean, Heath Ledger nails that accent so well. I mean, Heath Ledger is Australian, and he he absolutely nails this American raspy voiced American, you know, singers. I mean, that just gets strong goodies. But there is something very funny about this type of a guy, you know, this type of clown just crashing into a very high society, elegant party, and yeah, you know, he's just he's such a misfit but at the same time he just doesn't care, you know. I also love the tint of purpleness. You look at it, I mean, I see his jacket is clearly purple, but at the same time, it also feels like it's black. At the same time, yeah, it's got so many things happening. He just looks cool, right?
Yeah.
He just does. He looks so scruffy, but at the same time, there is order in that scruffiness. That
Yeah.
you know, you
Yeah. His continue.
yeah, I mean, it's not like, I mean, Scruffy has so many different. I mean, Scruffy could be like, you could be some you know, retired a 75-year-old man, grandpa wearing clothes from thrift shops, kind of Scruffy, but and that doesn't do anything for you. The Joker sort of his look, sure, his outfit and everything, you know, doesn't. Is not meant to have the type of the classical type of elegance to it, but it does work perfectly for him in a way that you look at it and go, wow, that looks cool. You know, there's a lot of work being put in to make him look that scruffy kind of feeling. You know, it's sort of how certain women want say that they don't want the natural look and not the makeup, but they end up spending more time getting that natural look than just putting on makeup. Yes, so Joker's outfit that way, it is cool. It is very flamboyant. You know, in that way, it does make him look like a badass. But
Yeah.
I think the reason why I'm bringing this up is that this is very different to the Joker that Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference you see between this Joker and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker?
Well, I mean, uh, I basically like the makeup he wears, the sort of
Mm-hmm.
the way he acts too. You can tell that he's trying to be his own sort of Joker, and he does really good at it, while also sort of having what I like. So the suit he's wearing in the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before the 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 movie sort of started,
Mm-hmm.
like and everything,
Yeah.
Heath Ledger was working with a bunch of like designers
Yeah.
and crap, and he sort of and it took them a while, and Heath Ledger actually sort of almost designed it.
Yeah.
like to the way he wanted it, and
Yeah.
it took them a long time
Mm-hmm.
because he wanted it in a sort of specific way.
Yeah.
So in a way, he knew what you were talking about
Mm.
right there, um, and that's how he did it. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that that was really cool because I like the suit
Yeah.
too, and there's a specific use in it in the beginning of the movie with the bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that that was really cool. I've actually seen figures of like Heath Ledger, um, the Joker with the bombs in his sort of suit. I've seen figures of that, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that that was like yeah, that's probably one of my favorite scenes too in the movie. Just how he's sort of ripping off like bombs like
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I actually do think that that whole scene where he burns the money. Uh, to me, it was great in some ways because it just shows that he is in many ways uncompromised.
Yeah.
He's the purest form of a. I mean, obviously he's evil, but he was a very much more of a purest, pure form of an idealist. That he. I mean, as Alfred says, some men just like to watch the world burn,
Yeah.
and that he's very true to uh, that ideology. He just likes to watch the world burn, and it wasn't about the money. In fact, I think it was always just about uh, just his whatever he had going in inside his head type of thing. And I think in that way he does even excel even beyond Bane. And let's talk about Bane because he was central to Dark Knight Rises, as you know, and we've had many arguments about it because you are such a big fan of the Dark Knight, and I'm such a big fan of the Dark Knight Rises,
Yeah.
and I still think they are the two best movies Batman in the Batman franchise, but I do rank the Dark Knight Rises better than Dark Knight.
You shouldn't.
Yes, yes, because you do. And I've told you why I like Dark Knight Rises. I think Dark Knight Rises as a political phenomena just try to warn us about a lot of the things that you got to witness in 2020 following the George Floyd murder and the whole the summer riots as it's now called. And I thought that the uprise of the anarchist movement had a lot to do with many things that the Dark Knight Rises was addressing.
Mm.
And at the same time, see, Dark Knight Rises was, if you look at a lot of the events in Dark Knight Rises, it is very true to the French level Revolution. This is something. So you love history, right?
Mm.
So you should study about the French Revolution. I know you love World War Two,
Mm.
but Dark Knight Rises war had many it borrowed a lot of things from the French Revolution, and that's why it really hit me because yeah, when I first watched The Dark Knight Rises in the cinemas, it did nothing for me. Like I just thought that it was just a really cool film. It was
Mm.
just a bit, but more and more I got into the politics, especially Western politics and American politics. I started realizing that the Dark Knight Rises was just, it was sort of tripping a lot of wires that previously it didn't. And this happens to me a lot with many movies. Like when I watch a lot of the really good Hollywood movies today. Like yesterday, we were watching Silence of the Lambs,
Yeah.
right? And for me, I feel like every time I watch these movies, they just get better with time. And the reason they just get better with time is I just know more now about history and politics and the demographics and the culture. And so suddenly there are things that didn't sort of switch in my brain at that time when I was watching, they're starting to now. So I can relate more. There are more references that I can understand better. And so that's why I just feel like Dark Knight Rises from that point of view just did a lot more to me than the Dark Knight. Now with the Dark Knight Rises, we also saw an episode today by the Batman animated. about Bane, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so, what did you think of that episode?
I thought um uh I I liked it. Like Bane's a pretty good bad guy.
Yeah,
You know, especially in the Dark Knight Rises movie.
yeah,
There are a lot of scenes from that movie I like.
yeah.
I still think Dark Knight's better though. But I like the episode how he sort of kidnaps like Robin and you know has him captive and Batman has to go after. Like I like I like the storyline of Dark Knight Rises. I like the episode how it was done. Like you know he sort of was big brain and he followed Killer Croc until he did something, and then Batman would come after, and then he would go after Batman. Yeah.
Yes, I see. Again, I want to sort of go back. I know we went on a tangent here, but I want to go back to see. In that way, I thought that Bane as a villain
Mm.
was not so the Joker was a much more purist in his even in his evil ideology compared to Bane, because okay, in the beginning you see Bane, you think, okay, this guy is the ultimate villain. He believes in nothing. He's this. He's not about the money or this. He's really he's really something that in a scary way you can sort of identify with the rebel in you. The anti-authoritarian sort of the anarchist in you can type of sympathize with. But then you realize at the end the movie had a horrible twist. I did not like that twist at all. When we realized that he was doing it out of love for this woman, and she was a terrible villain at the same time. Like in the sense that she didn't
Die too.
yeah, she did. She wasn't a very good actor. I thought at the same time, I just thought that that twist was a little too steep, if you know what I mean. Like the whole she goes from one thing to this she's suddenly evil and just looking and talking in an emotionless way type of. I just thought that it just didn't really sell well. But I do think when I look back at it, there is an element of truth to that, because when you look at all these revolutionaries in history or whatever, you might think, oh, these people are such badasses, they're uncompromising. But then later on, you realize that it is a lot of the time. There's a podcaster by the name of Jimmy Doe. He has a really good word for it. It's called performative radicalism. What it means is that it's just all empty, hollow, because at the end of the day, these people are puppets to somebody else. So in the case of Bane, he was a puppet to her, who and her belief or her ideology was a very shallow one. She just wanted to avenge the death of her father. That was just it. And it was not a very it doesn't have a it's not a broad type of a it does not a broad based activism. It is a more of a petty sort of a personal one. So you realize that at the end of the day, that Bane is not a purist as you thought he was, and it was disappointing. But at the same time, it is disappointing because it is just how it is in the real world as well. So that's just how it is. At the end of the day, it's like there are so many examples like this. You admire someone, and then you realize at the end of the day, they are not badasses like you thought they were. And that's just what I thought that's the significance of Dark Knight Rises. But in many ways, Dark Knight Rises, I mean, it did very well in the box office. I think it did better than Dark Knight, in fact. But for some reason, you always feel that Dark Knight Rises is in the shadow of Dark Knight,
Yeah.
because Dark Knight was so good. And Heath Ledger's death and everything, it just made this a cult phenomenon in a way that even if Dark Knight Rises did made more money, your people are going to remember Dark Knight more than the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. It was better. Yeah.
Okay, that could be the obvious. There was also other things, like I went to see it at the premiere here in Australia, but while I was watching it, I know that not not there was a at the premiere of Dark Knight Rises in America in Colorado in a theater called
Oh,
yeah, Aurora Theater in Colorado. This guy walked into the theater and like mass shooter, he killed like close to 20 people or something like that.
yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy surrounding this because uh, the guy who did the shooting, he was like a very smart kid. He went to the medical college. His parents were like very accomplished people. They were in fact working for the government and stuff like that. They were like big shots, So people are wondering why this particular person, who was why this kid did what he did. And there's all these conspiracy theories tying it to Dark Knight Rises and this kid and his background and everything. We are not going to talk about it, but it did sort of make Dark Knight Rises. It did put a huge dent on the reputation of the film, I believe. So it never yeah, but I think there is a resurrection now. There is a resurrection of the cult of darkness. I'm starting to see more and more memes of Bane on the internet and stuff like that. So you don't know. Maybe like Blade Runner, like it was a surprising misfire when it first came out, but now it's like a cult film. Like there's like
Yeah.
maybe Dark Knight Rises is sort of building that same reputation. But anyway, yeah. But getting back to the Joker, I do believe that in that way, Joker. If you compare the villain in Dark Knight to the Dark Knight Rises, the villain in the Dark Knight is a much more of a purist because he actually wasn't compromised. He wasn't working for anybody else. So in that way, I think the Joker wins over Bane.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit now about Joaquin Phoenix. Okay. All right. So you.
Actually, we'll talk about that'll be the last thing we talk about after this.
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, I really liked him as the Joker. Like, he was probably like as good as Heath Ledger to me. Yeah.
You see, I think they're two very different type of characters, right?
Yeah.
Because um, Joker that Heath Ledger plays is still a classic action movie badass. He was because he was an action movie badass in many ways because he was unfazed. He had a lot of catchphrases. He looked cool, and it was although he had a very psychological aspect to that Joker,
Yeah.
it wasn't the main thing about him. While the Joker from the Joaquin Phoenix's character, I mean, it's not an action film, right? To begin with, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is more of a thriller, horror, psychological, whatever, and he was in no way someone that overpowered other people. Yeah, I mean, of course, he was a killer, but he wasn't like the Joker. You know what I mean? He wasn't doing all those high flying flamboyant stuff and everything. He wasn't. Yeah, I would assume that he was a lot less polished character
Yeah.
compared to because this is more of the. I mean, they're not even from the same era, right? Because Heath Ledger was from the current era, like the 2001. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was
80s.
no, not even 80s. It's
No,
from the
the
pre.
movie was set in the 80s. Yep.
So yeah, so it is set in 1981. Okay, so but this Joker is more of a lonely, crazy guy,
Yeah.
right? He was very skinny. He wasn't. I mean, yes, he did kill those people in the subway and all, but he is not the same Joker as you see in Dark Knight Rises because the Joker you see in Dark Knight Rises is much
Dark Knight
stronger.
Rises.
No, sorry, Joker you see in the Dark Knight is much more calculated, stronger. Just someone. He is. He is a. I mean, I would have to say that he's a much more of a stronger, better fighter than your average man. You know
Mm.
what I mean? While Joker the in the Joaquin Phoenix character is more opportunistic, so type of a killer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but also once again the outfits in that Joker. You know we went
I
back.
love the outfits in both of the movies.
Yes, but you can see though that the Joker, the Heath Ledger's Joker, the outfit is far more. It's a lot cooler. You know, it's much more sleek.
Mm.
While the Joker in Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, I feel it would be much more realistic in terms of what a crazy guy would wear. You know, he
Mm.
doesn't really have a sense of fashion. He'll be getting stuff from $2 shops and thrift stores and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I just
Yeah,
like that. I like that. Like,
yeah, it just feels like something an old man would wear. You
yeah,
know
I
what I
bet
mean?
Joaquin Phoenix really liked the suit in the movie too.
Mm,
When he finally got it near the end,
yeah.
like when they were working on the movie,
Mm-hmm.
he loved it. Like you can just see a whole YouTube like a whole YouTube thing of him sort of like dancing in it to get used to the suit. Sort of.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I also really liked it. They try to make it look as close to a suit like in the 70s as they could, you know. And since this movie is set in the early 80s, like it was sort of perfect for the movie, and I love that so much. It was just I thought the suit in the movie was pretty good. Obviously, I can't compare it to the one that Heath Ledger wore because the one that Heath Ledger wore was the real Joker one, the
Yeah,
purple iconic
it
one,
yeah. See, another thing that really
real Joker.
bothers me about these type of films is I know that how much I love this TV series, The Punisher, and I just know that the if you meet the actors in the characters they play and then the roles who they are in real life, you can see that why they are actors. They just play these characters that they can't relate to in any way of shape or form. And the same
Yeah.
way when I look at the Joker, you have that TV show host who gets shot in the head, Robert De Niro.
Mm.
You know, I mean, if he's to play that role, he has to understand exactly what, in a strange way, you kind of sympathize with the Joker character, right? Even though he's a terrible sort of
Yeah.
villain and all, but you can see what he's going through. You can see the social isolation and everything else that it is creating a group of men who are very disconnected from the reality. They don't have a connection to the real world, and they are sort of isolated, lonely,
Mm.
alone, can't really communicate their feelings to people. And they end up laughing in front of the mirror, that this is actually happening in real world. People
Mm.
are doing this. So in that way, you can sort of empathize with the character. So for someone like Robert De Niro to get in a film like that, he has to understand what people are going through.
Yeah.
But if you meet Robert De Niro in real life, all these videos about politics that he's releasing all the time, you get the feeling that he's living in this huge bubble where he does not understand what's really going on in a country like America that is making certain people not support have his political views. And that sort of bothers me that these people are actually they understand what as individuals what each of us are going through, but they are unable to actually connect with it. It makes them look like frauds because it makes them look like they're all in it for the money, and they do understand the suffering that each and every individual goes through, but yet they choose to like the personality, the opinions and the viewpoints they put out in as celebrities seems to show a level of disingenuity. And this is something, I mean, I don't expect you to understand this. You probably do because you're always a lot smarter than most kids. But I do, a lot of people watching this right now, I
Yeah.
do expect them to know where I'm going with this. Yeah, so it's the same way with Punisher. I mean, I see all these characters like Rosario Dawson, who's actually dating Cory Booker, who's like a U.S. senator or something like that. But if you look at the type of character she plays in Daredevil, it is very anti-authoritarian, anti-government. So you can see that she gets it. You know what I mean? So you can see that psychological point of view, she gets it. But in real life, they all wear this mask because they all want to make money from sticking to a certain narrative. So that's just anyway, yeah, that I think that's my closing point. Is there anything else you want to say about Joker that you want to tell people that
Yeah, I sort of wanted to touch on a little bit of history about the Joker,
okay,
because if you know me, I love history
of
about
course.
famous characters.
Yes.
He was based on this movie.
Yep.
This man in this movie called The Man Who Laughs.
All
It
right.
was a very, very weird. It wasn't a horror movie because it was made long time ago, around almost after the silent movie era,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like supposed to be scary. It was just very eerie and weird.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it. I don't know what it's about, but I just know the character in it was very creepy, and they wanted to base the Joker off of that.
Yes.
Batman was actually based off of a real person. I don't know who the it was. I just have heard that he was based off a real person, but they based the Batman suit off of a movie called The Whispers of a Bat, where
Whispers of a Bat.
yeah. No, we've talked about this before.
Okay.
Uh, I he you sort of see a scene where he's like not gliding to the
The
floor, but
Bat Whispers.
yeah, bat the Bat Whispers.
It's a
Or
90. Okay, wow. It is so. I can't believe you know all this stuff. Bat Whispers is a 1930 American pre-code mystery film directed by Roland West, produced by Joseph M. I'm gonna butcher this name, Schneck, and released by United Artists. The film is based in the 1920s mystery play The Bat, written by Mary Robert Reinhardt and Avery Hopwood, and is a second film version by the same director, previously adapted in 1926. An early talkie and one of the first widescreen films, West financed the cinematography, which required two cameramen, several techniques, and was once a lost film, but thanks to the duplicate film stock, was restored in 1988. What a story!
yeah,
Wow, yeah. So okay, so Batman outfit was based on this.
yeah, a character from the movie
Holy,
just dressed up as a bat. Yeah,
mm,
this is the remake of the film, I think, but
oh my.
yeah, because there are two versions of the film,
Okay.
an earlier one and a later one,
All right.
and I think they based it off of the remake version. But yeah, that's what the Batman suit was based off of.
Yeah, so it says comic book creator Bob Kane said in his 1989 autobiography, Batman and Me, that the villain of the Bat Whispers was an inspiration for his character, Batman.
Yeah,
Very good. Incredible. All right.